Rolling right now. In a moment, Jerry Reynolds, Ryan in Sacktown. Ryan will have the pregame show. We'll have the halftime show. We'll have the postgame show. And don't forget, during the game, a watch party on Pro Sports Fans. The app is available. Download to your phone, PSF, and you can have some fun with us during the game. But Wednesdays, 4 o'clock, that means the one and only Jerry Reynolds.
1, go.
Sacramento miscue. Carter. Stolen by Williams. And look at this. Oh, you don't like that. You don't like NBA basketball.
Fox. Goodbye. Oh, if you don't like that, you don't like NBA basketball. The exclamation point from De'Aaron Fox. Oh, if you don't like that, you don't like NBA basketball.
Boy, that's an ESPN highlight right there. Whoa. Carlson comes in. How about this? Holy moly, Jim Bob Foley. That is a major league smush.
Yes, indeed. And the man himself joins us right now with, I guess, Jerry, the simple question is, what the heck is wrong with the Kings other than that they don't have their all-star point guard? We get that, but what do you see as the glaring issue right now with this team who's playing horribly?
Well, it really, I mean, offense has been inefficient pretty much all year. So, I mean, that's where I would say start. Now, it's also true when your offense is as bad as the Kings has been, especially without Fox, then the defense really is in a bind because, you're not scoring, which means your opposition is getting out in the open floor in transition, getting easy baskets. And, of course, they get easy baskets. You take the ball out of bounds, and it's a compounding thing. So shooting, just shooting poorly and is, I think, the number one thing. Certainly, the defense hadn't been anything to write home about. I mean, they're really at the bottom of every team stat so far. So it's been a very inefficient start.
Listen, it's easy to pick on individuals, but this isn't just one individual. This is a collective team thing, in my opinion. But I think it starts with Davion Mitchell. I just don't think he's a starting point guard, and he's asked to fill in for an all-star, and there are just too many nights where it's not there offensively. And I'm just wondering, can you have an effective offense in this day and age, the way the game is played in the NBA, with a point guard who's really not a threat offensively?
Well, I mean, I totally agree with what you said. In fact, as I was talking to Whitey and Phantom on our little podcast, Old Fashioned 3, and I said, you made a great point to me, and I hadn't thought about it, about Davion really not really able to push the ball, not effective in in an up-tempo game. And, Davion himself said, it's tough to play defense when you're running, and he's right. But, I got to thinking about it more because, like I say, I hadn't really thought in those terms, and I thought you made a great point. When you think of Davion, he was a terrific college player at Baylor, the national champions. But, hey, they walked it up and ran a half-court offense, and he was great defensively in that half-court offense, which he's still outstanding defensively. But offensively, that's who he is. More of a, he'd fit better on the bad boy Pistons than he would, and that. Yep. And I think that, and I think he's going to be a real good player in this league. It may not be in this style, and I would agree. So far, it just doesn't look that way. I mean, I know when he had some pretty good stats when Fox was injured his rookie year at the end of the year when the games didn't count, of course, but they didn't play as fast either. So no, I think it's a great point. I mean, to me, it's like, he's not Fox. There's only 2 or 3 others in the league that are that, but that's not that's a poor excuse because they played great against the Warriors without Fox. They won games last year without De'Aaron.
Yep, that's true. Domantas Sabonis really has not looked like himself. Hard to believe that the other night in Houston, the second of the two games. I think he played 30 minutes, only took 4 shots. What do you think's wrong with him right now?
Well, as you said, I mean, I thought that game was the worst I've ever seen him play.
Wow.
And I watched him a lot at Indiana. I mean, that was absolutely a totally ineffective game. And like I say, 4 shots. I mean, Domas's game, by and large, is wanting to draw attention, kick out, make plays for others. But when your others can't make a shot, you're going to have to be more aggressive. And he was, and he wasn't. Even when he got in close to the basket, he's kicking it out to an open 3-point shooter who wasn't going to make it. And I thought too, complaining too much about calls, this, that, and the other. You got to go play. I mean, the second-year player, St. John, just totally outplayed him.
Inexcusable.
I mean, St. John played like that you expect Domas to play like. And so, and what's really scary to me is he's leading the team in scoring, not counting Fox, of course, but leading the team in rebounding and assists and I think shooting percentage. So, it's like, you can see the Domas has not been very good with the exception of rebounding. I think when you average 13, that's still, you give him a pass on that, especially on a team that ranks near the bottom in rebounding.
And then there's another player, Jerry, and we talked about Keegan Murray last week. He's just in a really bad shooting slump, if we can call that, particularly from the 3-point line. What's your observation on him?
I kind of, I'll be honest with you, I never agreed with Coach Brown when he, kind of took him out of a game and said, don't pass up open shots and all that. In my opinion, what you have in Keegan is a little bit like Eddie Johnson reminds me of years ago. I mean, the older fans might remember Eddie. But the thing about Eddie was like Keegan was last year. He always took comfortable shots. He just didn't. He wasn't a guy that's going to force shots. And now we're seeing Keegan, for whatever reason, he's forcing a lot of shots. And I don't think you mind him forcing shots going to the basket, but he doesn't have to he's rushing a lot of 3-point shots. Like I'm supposed to shoot. Well, if you're not open and not comfortable, more importantly, no, don't shoot. That's just like a baseball player swinging at bad pitches.
I mean, it's a collective thing. It's almost like a baseball team that's in a complete slump. You got Kevin Huerter shooting 20% from 3. Harrison Barnes had that great game 1, 27 at the half, 33 for the game. He's been pretty much invisible with his stat line. So, I mean, it's easy to pick on one individual, and I do believe it starts at the point guard position because I think it's a domino effect. But that doesn't explain how so many players are just missing shots.
No, it doesn't. And like I say, certainly Davion has not lived up to his role, but then, Vesnikov has been very disappointing. And Harrison, like I say, was great against Utah in the first half, and he shot 4 or 5 times. I mean, and, he and Domas really are your veteran guys. They really need to be looking for shots, if there's anybody going to be looking for them and trying to create offense, because we've seen Harrison do that. The one criticism I'd have there with Harrison and maybe with the team, it's like Harrison has a good low post game. So put him down there. When's the last time we saw him down there?
Yeah.
Not this year, I don't think. He's got a better low post game than Domas does, especially with different matchups. So, but he has just, that's one of his, in some times it's a strength. When everybody's making shots, the offense is going great, Harrison will blend in. Mm-hmm. And I think it's to his credit. Well, obviously, he doesn't need to blend in now. He needs to step forward. And so I think, that's kind of, he and Domas both are too unselfish and really expecting others to do things they could do better.
Jerry, it's a very small sample size when De'Aaron Fox is not on the floor. Okay, we're talking about 3 games. You made a very good point that the Kings without Fox in the games last year could still score and could put a lot of points up on the board. But you've been in the role of general manager before. if you're watching this right now, you got to be saying to yourself, oh my gosh, if De'Aaron's out for any significant period of time during the season, do I have the right personnel to be able to run the offense that we want to have here? Meaning, does Monte McNair right now need to be thinking about what can I do to acquire a different style backup point guard?
Well, I agree with you. I think Monte McNair is obviously a very smart basketball man, and I think, he felt like I did, and a lot of people, that the team would come out of the gate running and they'd be scoring easily, and all that would be happening. Well, it isn't happening, and a lot of it does go to the point guard. Of course, I we talked about it a lot. I felt they really needed a power guy, that could stretch the floor. Of course, I'd always pump for Naz Reid or Bobby Portis, somebody like that could shoot threes, could guard, and then also could knock somebody down once in a while. And that, they just did not get that guy. I'm pretty sure they tried. But, if I'm Monte McNair, I'm saying, we probably are going to have to look to do something here. This may not, Fox can't, if you're not going to play 82 games, which he clearly isn't, how are we gonna compete? And and so I think the first thing you'd have to say is, well, we thought we got the right pieces, and it probably still early. Not saying it can't work, but this is the time you'd start questioning a little bit, and you should question yourself a little bit and thinking, okay, we need to be thinking at least as soon as about what we might be able to do to improve this squad, because it's not what we thought it was.
And could we be short selling the Houston Rockets a little bit because we're thinking of the Rockets of last year? And again, that doesn't explain being down by 40 points in the second half and not being competitive for 2 games. I'm not saying that, but do you think the Rockets might be better than we thought they would be?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I that was my opinion. Like I say, talking on our earlier podcast I do, is that here, just break it down here. 3 young players they got. Jabari Smith is playing like we thought he would last year.
Yeah.
St. John has improved dramatically. Obviously, a top young center. Jalen Green is a big-time scorer. And then they've added 2 veterans. We may not like Dylan Brooks, but he can play.
Yep.
And he's tough. And then Fred VanVleet is a good player. And
yes, he
settled Jalen Green down a little bit. And then you got a good coach. You got a better coach. So, it's a different product. I mean, I could see them improving almost like the Kings did last year. And I'm not saying they can get to 48 games, but they could be a 38 to 40 win team. So I'm like you. If had the Kings went there and lost 2 games by 2 or 3 points, you'd be upset. But not what we saw. I mean, they're not the Magic's Lakers or Jordan's Bulls or Curry's great teams with the Warriors. So when you're knocked out of the game in 6 minutes, that a lot of questions need to be asked.
All right, so tonight it's the Blazers. They've got a lot of guys out of the lineup too. No Fox tonight. We know Trey Lyles has not played. Yeah, I don't want to sit here and go, well, gee, there's no excuses if you lose tonight. But I will say this. If the Kings do not play well tonight, I'm not talking about whether they win or lose. If they do not play well, I could see the fans booing this team off the floor.
Yeah, well, expectations are what they are, and they're there for a reason. And I'm with you. I think they have to win. I really do. And
I agree.
I always make fun of people talking about must wins, and I never thought I'd say there's a must win in the 7th game of the season, but I think it is.
Wow.
I mean,
you think this is a must win game? Wow.
It's a home game against possibly the worst team in the league.
Wow. They're 3-4
with 2 key players out.
Yeah, that's true. I
mean, really, and coming off a total embarrassment. So if you're not going to come out of the box and win this kind of game, I'm not saying season's over, but the other part of that is, Grant, is that just keep this in mind. You lose 2 games to Houston. If you lose 1 to Portland, now that's should be 3 of the bottom feeders.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Now the only way you make up for that is to beat 3 of the best teams, and that is hard to do.
That's a great point. We bring in Ryan in Sacktown. How about that? Jerry Reynolds, Rhino, calling this a must-win for the Sacramento Kings. The pressure is on, my friend.
Yes, indeed. Well, I mean, the pressure's already pretty high, so I don't think it takes it too much higher, but I think it's right in that neighborhood. Jerry's spot on.
All right, Rhino, tell the folks that are with us on the stream about what we're going to be doing during the game. Now, we'll be back here at halftime. You'll be doing the pregame show right here, and we'll have the postgame show right here. But we have a watch party, so tell the folks how they can get Pro Sports Fans.
Yeah, absolutely. Go to the App Store on Apple or Google Play. Download the Pro Sports Fans app or PSF app. Choose the Kings as one of your preferred teams and enter that chat room. And Grant and I will be popping up right there, live video, streaming, talking, having you guys a part of the conversation, and we'll be giving commentary during the game and taking questions.
Yeah, I'm trying to bring this up on my phone right now and show everybody, but it's very simple. You know, again, you go to the NBA and, you know, there's, you know, it's hard to see on the phone, but, you know, and there's all kinds of messaging going on and you can follow along with us. It's going to be a lot of fun. That's coming up at game time. But again, Rhino, you're going to have the pregame and then we'll have the halftime and the postgame show right here on YouTube. Jim wants to know, is Fox back? No, he is not back. He has been ruled out for the game tonight. Jerry, the one thing that we saw in Houston as well, both games, the Kings got off to horrible starts. That hopefully will not happen tonight, but that did happen on the games Saturday and Monday. Horrible first quarters.
Yeah, it really was. But they fought back, you know, and it's really amazing. They was able to get the lead, I think, briefly, and then just fell apart again. You know, I think I was sitting there like a lot of fans saying, okay, we got this under control now. After the bad start, we've reeled them in, we're going to win. And boy, the Rockets just took off. And then the one Monday, there's not one thing positive you can say about that.
No, there's nothing positive. And, you know, Ryan and I on a post-game show talked about the effort. See, there are a lot of things that I can accept. I can accept when a team's not shooting the ball well. I'm okay with that. That's going to happen even to the really good teams in the league. Denver went through a stretch last year, I think towards like March and beginning of April, where they couldn't win a game and they won the championship. I was bothered a lot, guys, by, I hate to say that the team quit because I don't want to say that, but it looked like that to me. That's what concerned me the most, Jerry.
Yeah, I felt that way, you know, and I mean, to be honest with you, middle third quarter, I quit on them. You know, I like basketball, but I thought, well, I can watch a little NFL football, at least have some entertainment in my life. So, yeah, that was a very disappointing effort. And, you know, now we're said, too, it doesn't surprise me when a weaker team beats a better team, supposedly, by a large margin. But usually it happens late in the season, you know,
Yes.
during the old doldrums where you're into the 50th, 60th game and you know, everybody's kind of tired or looking ahead or whatever. But to have it so early, I think it's extra concerning.
How concerned were you with the effort on Monday, Ryan?
Very concerned, Grant. I mean, it's so early in the season. It's not just the effort, it's that look of confusion. The guys just look lost on the court, and this is a team that has played together for pretty much an entire year, minus a couple of new additions. So, you know, you would have expected more coming into the second half of the game on Monday, and in fact, we saw worse effort at the start of the second half than we did in the first half. So that's what caught my eye.
So, Jerry, bottom line here, if you were to come on with us tomorrow, hypothetically, and we were having a conversation talking about another Kings loss, that would be very alarming to you without even knowing what would transpire and how it would happen. You would say, okay, then we got some real issues here, right?
I would. I mean, you know, and of course you'd say that knowing full well the Fox is going to clear up a lot of it. But, you know, I think it'd be foolish to go forward, you know, for the next 70-some games thinking we got this. You know, we're an elite team because to me, what you'll have showed if you can't win this game is that yeah, a lot of the things you thought would happen, or we all thought would happen, just haven't. Has not. And it's not just personnel. Maybe if you're Coach Brown, you're looking at maybe we need to make some adjustments in our offense and defensive thinking. Because at some point, if you're not scoring any points on a team, if you're 18th in offense when you were first last year, most of the year, something's not working.
Not only that, you look at the teams that finished behind you in the standings last year. Dallas is 6-1, Golden State is 6-2, Minnesota's 4-2, New Orleans is 4-3, and Oklahoma City is 4-3. Again, very small sample size, but all of those teams finished behind you last year. So, you do not want to fall too far behind this year. Ryan and I said this, Jerry, a couple days ago. The Kings started off 0-4 last year, and then obviously they won their next two games. So the same record, but the team looked much, much better at this point last season than they do right now. And I'm fully aware that De'Aaron Fox has missed 3 games. I understand that. But, Jerry, it just has a different feel right now.
Oh, it does. I mean, I think a lot of it's expectations, but they're there for a reason. The team was a really good team, and last year, 48 games, they added pieces that they thought would make the team better. So far, it has seemed to work. But you've had key guys that are playing far worse than you had any reason to expect, and why that is, I can't say, but my suspicion is that some of the stuff that worked last year isn't working as well, and maybe maybe you need to adjust the starting lineup a little bit, make some. My mind is you got to get Monk in there.
Well,
you got to get Monk in there. You don't have Fox. Now, who's the closest thing you got on this team to Fox?
Good point.
His name's Malik.
Well, that's what Jim says. And by the way, good morning to you in Hong Kong as well. Could they start Monk to get his speed back into the offense? Well, that's what Jerry's thinking. You think you want to see more Malik Monk, Jerry, huh?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you need offense. Well, he's a guy, we've seen him score 40 points.
Yeah.
Who else on this roster have you seen do that other than Fox? So, no, I to me, it's like, you play him as much as you can. I know that as a coach, you wouldn't want to change a very successful lineup by taking a 6 man of the year type and making him start. But this is okay. But this isn't the same situation now. This is the team that's trying to find its footing. And Monk's the kind of guy, I'm sure you could start him and have him come back off the bench later if you wanted to. He's done it. He's good at it. So anyway, all I know is if I want to get my offense started and be better at it, I'd get Malik Monk on the floor.
Ryan?
Yeah, Jerry, you're right about that, and I agree with Monk, but here's the reality. Also, Monk is a different player than Fox. They have completely different styles, although he is the closest thing to Fox. Monk is more of a pick and roll coming downhill at times. Fox can pretty much do anything, and that's where I think the adjustment needs to come in with what the Kings are running with the personnel on the floor. Because, Grant, when you talk about the Kings looking better in their losses at the beginning of the season last year, it's because they were missing open shots and they got a few bad breaks. Those guys aren't getting the same open looks that they were getting last year to start this season. So you have guys used to getting open looks now having to take contested looks or create your own shot. And most of those guys, sans Harrison Barnes and Domantas Sabonis, aren't going to be create your own shot guys.
Well, that's a great point. I've said, but there, with Monk is, that's the very reason I'd play him. Yeah, he's really good on the pick and roll, gets downhill. Yeah, he's not Fox, but he's a guy who can create. He can create offense. Now, and right now, of the starters, who can create offense? My answer is nobody. And then the second part of it is, I would like to see him. This is just me, but with Domas, the dribble handoff thing is really not working very well. I would like to see more, him playing the high post. We saw that when he came to the Kings. play in the high post, get splits off of him, and cutters. He's a terrific passer, much like the Vlade Divac, Brad Miller kind of thing. And rather than basically just kind of dumping it in there and seeing what's happening, because what we're seeing, honestly, we saw against Houston, basically he'd kick the ball out, and it's to 4 guys standing.
Yes.
And then they pass the ball around the perimeter. Well, Houston, that's what they wanted.
Yep.
It's like, okay, pass it out, and we'll try to cover the first guy, and then you move it to the next guy standing on the perimeter, and we'll cover him. So, and we saw good cutting and stuff last year more, and for some reason, and as you and Grant pointed out, I mean, they're clearly taking tougher shots. And when you take tougher shots, you don't hit them as well. Simple as that.
We're getting some people asking us about the Pro Sports Fans app. Folks, it's pretty simple. You go download it onto your phone, okay? It's PSF, Pro Sports Fans, and it pretty much, if I can do it, you can do it, okay? It's a pretty simple. I'm saying this, just first of all, to anyone that's having questions, I understand that. I had some questions too. First thing you have to do is download it onto your phone. Once you download it, I think it's pretty simple to find out where we're going to be. Okay. You go to NBA, you click on Sacramento Kings, and you become a member. It doesn't cost you anything. All right. And boom, you're ready to go. And you can get on the chat and everything else. It's pretty simple. Am I missing anything, Rhino?
Yeah, the only thing you're missing, Grant, is you'll have to create a login and a username. That's it. So, but Grant's put it out perfectly. And you can go to my social media after the show. I will do a quick recording on how to get there, and you can watch that if you have any further questions.
There you have it. All right. So that's going to be beginning at 7:00. Then we're back here at halftime. Then the second half on Pro Sports Fans. And then Rhino and I are back here on the post-game show. There's a lot of uneasiness right now amongst Kings fans, guys, because they had this anticipation that this was going to be a great season, and it still can be. I mean, it's the first week of November, okay? Being 2-4 is not the worst thing in the world, okay? I mean, you're without your all-star point guard, and there's no reason that this team can't get on a run and start playing pretty well. So I don't think it's time to panic, although Jerry, again, I hate to be putting words in your mouth. You think if they lose tonight, then real panic is going to set in, huh?
Me, I don't speak for anybody but myself. It will for me, but what you say is really the truth here, and I expect to come on at halftime with you. It's up 65-48, and then they win the next game, and then we're back on track. But it has to happen tonight. I mean, there's no doubt Fox coming back whenever he does is going to make the team better. But what concerns me is if you want to have a better team you had last year or as good, the way it looks right now, you don't have. So we need to see a bounce back good game. Just because these guys have played well, and it'd be different if they hadn't. We've seen bad teams that weren't going to win. They couldn't. And be the same guys from one year to the next. Well, they weren't good last year.
That's very true.
Why would we be good this year? And so anyway, I think it's different circumstance.
And the unknown with this team, one of the unknowns, was Sasha Vezenkov, because he comes in with all the fanfare of being the EuroLeague MVP. I've been talking about this with Ryan for many months, that I had talked to 3 different scouts over in Europe, and they said, they didn't say, they said he's not going to be anything special. He can be a role player and he can play in the NBA, but don't expect, a star to be coming in. Ryan, I'll get to you first. Jerry said he's been disappointing, and we'll get to Jerry in a minute, but what's your take on Sasha?
My take is he's been asked to do more than he probably would have been asked if Trey Lyles was healthy. I think Sasha is a perfect buffer in between Trey Lyles' minutes, or sometimes even with Trey Lyles, to spread the floor. But it's just been a little bit too much too soon. When he has open looks, he was hitting them early on. So I think it's just a matter of getting the team back together and getting him back in the role that he should be in.
What do you think, Jer?
Well, I do think, I mean, he has been disappointing. I mean, I wasn't expecting, an all-star. I think he's way better player than he's playing, but I think he's a little bit like the Davion thing. The game, it seems a little fast for him. In other words, of course, the European game is slower, more half court, but a lot of the same circumstances. And I would say one other thing. I mean, that's very important for him to start playing better, because if I'm Mike Brown, when Trey Lyles comes back, I might forget his name for a while.
Yeah.
I mean, Trey's bigger, stronger, and right now, I mean, at least we don't know what he'd do, but it was a better shooter last year than what we've seen, and so they've missed Lyles. I mean, I do not just. I mean, obviously Fox, but I think that this team has missed Trey Lyles. He's a good, dependable big that you can play in 2 or 3 spots.
Well, they definitely miss him. They clearly miss Fox, but we knew that. I think that maybe we are appreciating Trey Lyles more than we thought. In other words, we knew he was a nice role player for this team last year, and we did talk about him, but he might even be a more important piece to this team than maybe we even thought. I guess that's the point I'm trying to make, Rhino.
That's a great point, Grant. I mean, I think that's part of the reason that, they brought in JaVale, a very similar style to Alex Len, because they were expecting Trey Lyles to get the majority of the minutes playing a little bit smaller.
Yeah, I think that's true. I think they have thought that Trey can play a backup 5, and I think he can. But I also think that, especially at the end of the year and in playoffs, he was good.
Yeah.
He's one of the guys that played up to his ability. And that, that's one of those things that I remember. It's like, well, when things were tough, he was able to play his game when a lot of other guys couldn't. And, and my feeling about him a little bit is that, when he came out of college, he's one of those guys that everybody thought would probably be the player he is right now. He got off, and he got bounced around and all that. But I think he's a guy that probably needs to have a bigger role on this team. I really do. And I thought that before the season started.
Hey, folks, I want to tell you about New Works Plumbing. For all of your plumbing needs and repairs, just go to sackserviceplumbing.com. New Works Plumbing, they've got a fix for you, and they're available around the clock 24/7 for your plumbing needs and repairs. Call the number on your screen or just go to sackserviceplumbing.com. New Works Plumbing, they've got a fix for you. Jerry, the one thing I really miss doing the games with you is when you would occasionally read a promo. I do really miss that, Jer. I got to be honest.
Well, how you'd throw it to me when I wasn't expecting it. But yes, with my marvelous reading skills, and which I could see about half the words, he really done me in, Rhino. But being the trooper that I was, I hung in there.
Ryan, what they would do is they would hand me a stack of cards with numbers that I would have to read periodically throughout the game when my producer told me, right? And if I had a long one that was a definite tongue twister, I would go, "Hey, Jerry, they would like you to read this promo." those were some very entertaining 20 to 30-second spots.
Rhino. And of course, Grant knew I couldn't even pronounce half the guys' names in the league, much less some of this stuff.
One was a concert with rappers. Okay.
Yeah,
I remember that one. Yes, I do.
Well, and rappers and heavy metal bands or something. It's like
yes,
I couldn't have picked them out, in a lineup. But of course being the shield that I am, I'd always say, "Oh, you got to come," great entertainment. I mean, and you couldn't have paid me $500 to go.
All right. On that note, Jerry, we'll see you at halftime. Okay.
Yes, sir. And we're going to be talking some good stuff.
All right.
Amen.
Amen, brother.
All right. Take care. Oh, he is an absolute treasure, is he not, or what? Oh my God.
So I guess the question is, what did Jerry do to get at you sometimes?
That's a great question. We'll ask him that at halftime. I don't really know.
Right.
That is a very, very good question. Hey, don't forget about Bennett's. Great place to watch the game as well. At Bennett's, one of their 3 locations, including the West Side Grill. That's right, Bennett's West Side Grill at the Blue Oaks Town Center in Rockland. Just go to Bennett'sRestaurants.com. You can check out the menu and more. Make a reservation. Don't forget about their weekend brunch, their weekend prime rib, 60 different types of wine available by the glass. They have tremendous happy hour specials with both appetizers and beverages as well. Just go to Bennett'sRestaurants.com. I'm going to have to think about that one. What did Jerry do to get back at me? That's a very good question,
Give it some thought. I'm very interested to know the answer. I'm sure everybody else is as well.
All right, so let's get over to Pro Sports Fans information again for the folks that may have joined us a little bit late, and let them know that you and I, all right, are going to be doing a watch party on this app that we've talked about. It's PSF, Pro Sports Fans. I have an Android, you have an Apple. It was fairly easy to download. You set up an account, username and password, and then you're good to go. It's that simple.
It's that simple because it'll ask you to choose what teams you want to follow right off the bat, and those teams will automatically come up in the middle of your feed. You hit the Kings chat room, and Grant and I will be right there, ready to go once we start the watch party.
Yeah, and again, nothing changes for the programming here on YouTube and Twitter, okay? Ryan is going to have the pregame show. Jerry joins us at halftime, and then we wrap up the game again right here on YouTube. So we got a busy evening ahead of us.
We do. We got a full game. So let's do it, partner.
I absolutely like it. Hey, don't forget about CalusaSunrise.com and a project by Blazona Development, again in Calusa. It is called Sunrise Landing. 6 models to choose from. No Melrose, no homeowners. Phase 1 already sold out. They're in phases 2 and 3. And again, all you need to do is get to CalusaSunrise.com and check out Sunrise Landing. It's right there for you. Go to the website and you can get all the information that you need from Sunrise Landing. All right, buddy, we've got a busy couple of hours ahead of us. Looking forward to it. And you have a good pregame show. And then next time I see you, we'll be on Pro Sports Fans.
Sounds good, Grant. Looking forward to it.
All right, that's Ryan in Sacktown. And for everyone else, thank you very much for your support. Don't forget to subscribe if you have not already done so. Give us a thumbs up as well. And Ryan is going to be next, 6:30 with the pregame show right here. Talk to you soon.